We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi Meseches Menachos. This is Menachos Daf 10b. On the previous summit, the Gemara said that according to Rabbi Shimon, as long as it says the word etzba, then you understand that it means the right finger. But if it just says kahuna, that is not enough to suggest that it must be the right. And so the Gemara now continues and asks, V'harei zrika, what about the throwing of the blood? The lo kasav bei ela kahuna, it only writes kahuna over there. Utanana, we learned in a Mishnah, zorak bismol pasal, that if one throws with the left hand, it is pasal. And so you see kahuna alone is enough to require the right. Velo polig Rabbi Shimon, we don't find that Rabbi Shimon argues over there. It seems that Rabbi Shimon would say that kahuna alone is enough to require the right hand. And the Gemara continues and answers, Amar Abaya, Abaya says, polig bebraisa, that actually Rabbi Shimon does argue. He argues in the Braisa. The Tanya, as we learned in a Braisa, kibel bismol pasal, if he receives with the left hand, it's pasal, it's disqualified. For Rabbi Shimon machshir, Rabbi Shimon says kosher. And zorak bismol pasal, if he throws with the left hand, it's pasal. For Rabbi Shimon machshir, and again, Rabbi Shimon says kosher. So we see that Rabbi Shimon, in fact, does argue. And Rashi explains, polig bebraisa, he argues in the Braisa, v'hu adin l'masnisin, and the same in the Mishnah. V'kasha, now Rashi says, if you're going to ask leisav mikmitza, why don't we just ask a question from kamitza, from the fistful by the karba mincha? The loksiv ela kahuna, there it only says kahuna, it doesn't say etzba. Utanan, and we learned in the Mishnah earlier, kamatz bismol pasol, the kamitza taken with the left hand is disqualified. And again, velo polig Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon doesn't argue, so it seems like Rabbi Shimon is saying that it has to be with the right hand, again, even though it just says kahuna. And Rashi answers, Tarts, we can answer, Hainu taima de lo polig b'mincha. The reason why Rabbi Shimon does not argue by kar b'mincha, even though it just says kahuna, so he should say it's kosher with the left, that's kedamrin l'kamon. We're going to say later on that there's another source. The nafkalei, the small puzzle, he learns that the left hand is puzzle, mikodesh kadashim hi kachados v'chashim, he learns it from a different pasuk. So in any case, he has a source, and that's why he doesn't argue in terms of kmitza. But the Gemara continues and asks, but what about that which Rava said on the previous Amud? Yad l'kmitza, here at Gezerah Shava, it says yad, and we learned that kmitza has to be done with the right hand from that Gezerah Shava. So lamali, so what do we need the Gezerah Shava for? Mikahuna nafka, we should just learn it out from the fact that it says kahuna. Rashi explains, Mikahuna nafka, daksiv ba v'kamatz hakohen. It says v'kamatz hakohen, v'yamar Rava la'el rabbanon, tehecha dechsiv etzba o kahuna, and Rava said earlier, according to the Rabbanan, that if it says etzba or kahuna, eino elo yamin, it means the right, yad lamali. So if that's the case, if etzba or kahuna indicates right, so what do we need the gezerah shava of yad for? And the Gemara continues and answers, Chad l'kometz, one is for the taking of the fistful itself in the hand of the Kohen, v'chad l'kiddush kometz, and then the other one is for kiddush kometz, which is the sanctification of the fistful when it's put in the vessel. And Rashi explains, l'kiddush kometz, d'chi mekadesh l'kometz b'kli, yitneyu b'yamino l'socha kli, when he's sanctifying, consecrating the kometz in a vessel, he should place it with his right hand into the vessel. But the Gemara continues and asks, so Rabbi Shimon, but what about according to Rabbi Shimon, de lo boy kiddush kometz, he doesn't require kiddush kometz at all, he doesn't require sanctification of the kometz in a vessel. Well, amar nami de boy kiddush kometz, and even according to the one who says within Rabbi Shimon, that kiddush kometz is required, but uvesmol achshure machshir, but Rabbi Shimon says it's okay to do that with the left hand, so even within the opinion that according to Rabbi Shimon, kiddush kometz is required, but the left is still kosher, so again we're back to the question, yad de Rava Lamali, what is the Yad Gezerah Shava of Rava? Again, the whole Gezerah Shava of Yad, according to Rava, was for Kiddush Kometz, to say that must be done with the right hand. That is not going to work in Rabbi Shimon. And the Gemara continues and answers, Ila Kmitza Gufa, I'll leave it to Rabbi Shimon. And if you're going to suggest that it's for the Kometz itself, according to Rabbi Shimon, meaning Rava's Yad, that was just within the sheet of the Rabbanon. Within the Rabbanon, he needs that Gezerah Shava of Yad to teach Kiddush Kometz, because he already has a source for the kometz itself from kahuna. But according to Rabbi Shimon, maybe you'll say there is no source from kahuna for the right hand by the kometz itself, so maybe for the kometz itself we need yad according to Rabbi Shimon, and that's what Rava will say. But the problem is Rabbi Yehuda breid Rabbi Chia nafka, but it's not true, because Rabbi Shimon has a different source for kmitza gufa requiring the right hand from the statement of Rabbi Yehuda breid Rabbi Chia. Diyam Rabbi Yehuda breid Rabbi Chia, because Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Rabbi Chia, said, my time with Rabbi Shimon, what's the reason of Rabbi Shimon? And this was mentioned earlier by Rashi. Rashi, the Amar Kra, because it says in the pasuk, Kodesh Kadoshim hi kachatos v'cha'asham. It says it's Kodesh Kadoshim like the chatos and like the asham, and it means Bala ovda biyad ovda biyamin kachatos. If he wants to serve with his hand, he does it with the right hand like the chatos, and Bala ovda bekli. If he wants to do it with a vessel, ovda b'smol ka'asham, then he does it with his left hand like the karban asham. And the point over here is that according to Rabbi Shimon, this actually serves as the source that Bala ovda biyad, that if he wants to do the karban mincha with his hand, burn it with his hand and not with a kli, that he does it with the right hand. And so again, we are back to the question, according to Rava, according to Rabbi Shimon, what is yad for? And the Gemara continues and answers, Lo nitzrucha ella, it's necessary for the following, L'kometz de minchas chote. It's necessary for the kometz of the minchas chote. Why is it necessary for that specific kometz of the mincha of the sinner? Because Salkadai Dechamina, one might have thought, Hoel v'yom Rabbi Shimon, since Rabbi Shimon says, Shalo yehe karbona muhuder, that we don't want his carbon to be beautiful, we don't want the mincha of the sinner to be beautiful, so ki kometz lo nami b'smol tiskasher, so one might think that even the kmitza with the left hand is kosher, kamash malon. That's what yad is teaching us, that it must be done with the right hand. And Rashi explains, Lo Rabbi Shimon de lo boy kiddush kometz, according to Rabbi Shimon, who doesn't require kiddush kometz. Beperek Gimel, this is in the third perek. The katani shelo bechli sharis psula. It says over there, if it's not done with a vessel, it's disqualified. For Rabbi Shimon machshir, but Rabbi Shimon says it's kosher. Upligi trei amoroi lekamon begemara, and later on in the Gemara, two amoraim will argue what exactly does Rabbi Shimon mean. Rabbi Yanai and Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak. It's a machlokus between Rabbi Yanai and Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak. Chad amar taimid Rabbi Shimon de lo boy matan kli. One says Rabbi Shimon holds it doesn't even need to be placed in a vessel. The kavan the kamatz mi kli sharis, as long as he takes the fistful from the kli sharis, Ma'aleyu maktiru, he could just put it on the mizbeach. Afilu b'mekida shel cheres. It's not necessary again to place it to have matan kli. V'chadam, and the other one says hakol modem b'kometz shaton kiddush. Everybody agrees that fistful, it does need sanctification in a vessel. V'had machshir Rabbi Shimon shelo b'chli sharis. When Rabbi Shimon says a kli sharis is not needed, b'haktaras hamincha kamar. What it means is, in terms of the burning of the karban mincha, it's not necessary. V'hainu dekaparachul Rabbi Shimon d'boy kiddush kometz, and that's what the Gemara means when it asks that according to Rabbi Shimon, the low boy kiddush kometz, that he doesn't require kiddush kometz, kiddush mefarish Rabbi Yanai. That's Rabbi Yanai's explanation of Rabbi Shimon. It's not needed at all. Ul Rav Nachman the Amar Nami Rabbi Shimon boy kiddush kometz, and even according to Rav Nachman, that says kiddush kometz is necessary according to Rabbi Shimon, but bismol shamin alei demachshir Rabbi Shimon la kiddush kometz, but it's allowed to be done with the left hand. Kidamin lekamon, like we're about to say, bala over the bechli over the bismol kashim. If he wants to use a vessel, he can do with his left hand like the asham. And Rashi continues, Yad de Rava Lamali, again that Gzeir Shav of Yad according to Rava. Why is it necessary according to Rabbi Shimon? Ila Kmitza Gufavitz, for the Kmitza itself, that to have it be a min, that it should be with the right hand. To Rabbi Shimon lo nafkale mikahuna, because again Rabbi Shimon doesn't learn that from the word kahuna. Kidamrinan le'el Rabbi Shimon kahuna boy etzba, like we said earlier, Rabbi Shimon requires the word etzba, kahuna alone is not enough. My time with Rabbi Shimon damar shalo b'chli shares ovdo kasheira b'paragimel. What's the reason according to Rabbi Shimon that if he's doing it with a kli shares, he can do it with the left hand? Kodshe kadashim b'mincha ksiv. It says the word kodesh kadashim by the mincha, and again it means bala ovda biyad shalo kidesh kometz b'kli. What that means is if he didn't sanctify the kometz in a vessel, elo komatz v'holech v'hiktir biyado, he just takes the kmitz and he's burning it with his hand. Ovda biyamin kechatos, then he uses his right hand like a chatos. The chatos levad biyaminhu dechsiv bo etzbo kuna. Chatos has to be with the right hand. It says etzbo and kahuna. V'lokach hakoy midam hachatos betzbo. That's what it says. V'lokach hakoin, and it says betzbo. And laovda b'kli, if he wants to use a kli, shakidesh kometz b'kli, he wants to sanctify the kometz in a vessel. Ovda lekidesh kometz b'smol, that he could do that with the left hand. Ka'asham mitzora, like the asham of the mitzora, dechsiv be'smol, where it's written the word small. And in any case, Rashi continues, Alma, we see mida akshi lechatos, from the fact that it's compared to chatos, mincha is compared to chatos, mehacha nafka, from here it's learned, dechol avodos mincha hanasos biyad, that all avodos of a mincha that are done with the hand, yamin ba'inon, it has to be the right hand, v'yad yad lamali, and again we're back to the question, why do we need yad according to Rava within Rabbi Shimon? And the Gemara ended up saying, lekometz the minchas chote, it's for the kmitza of the mincha of the sinner, itzrich yad, that's what yad is needed for. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Kamatz v'yola biyado tzror or gargar melech, if he takes the kmitza and in his hand comes a stone or a piece of salt. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph.